Hey Bounce Bays, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Creative Chaos, X Looks in the Library. This is going to be a continuation of our last upload with the book that we're just started. So you only heard really the intro of this book, but we're hoping that this next entry really gets into the nitty-gritty of our story and we can really touch and get in tune with our characters. So with that being said, let me bring down Shay so she can introduce herself and let's kind of get into the mess.
Hello, welcome back to another episode. So this is going to be part 2 of the book Pleasure by Eric Jerome Dickey for Creative Chaos, X Looks in the Library. I'm ready. I think y'all are ready too. So grab your drinks, grab your brushes, or just grab some couch because it's time to get into it. You ready, friend?
Let's get into it. Okay, so today's episode is brought to you by the Beats by Deb in the Buff palette. This is a great nude palette for anybody who's wondering. And the Glam Light Ice Cream palette. This is a very colorful, like pastel palette. And let me just show you the inside of the In the Buff palette. Like, these are gorgeous. If you guys aren't familiar with these, please go to, this is a black owned business, first of all. Let's start there. This is a person of color's owned business. So, you know, get in tune. And also our drink of choice today is Choya, which is a plum wine. I love plum wine. I've said something about this before, but I haven't been drinking it recently because I don't feel like going back to the store to replace it. That's why. But pour up your drinks, y'all, and we're gonna get into this story. Okay.
I was alone, staring out at the most heavily forested urban area in the country. Just me and my personal issues, concerns spiraling, worming deeper inside my head. I'd never envisioned living in Smyrna, but Logan had inspired me to leave Memphis. Bad relationships had the power of inspiration. Bad relationships made the world claustrophobic. While I watched people struggle up the mountain, I stared out at the trees, gazed toward downtown ATL, and wondered how realistic it was for a woman to expect one man to fulfill every need that she had. Pleasing a woman was a Herculean task, and so was pleasing a man. Wondered if it was wrong for a man to be the same way. And no one woman could please him in all ways. Sweat dripped my face into my eyes. I saw him again. I saw the shirtless, golden-skinned man who had been running like a track star, his 8-pack glistening, muscles flexing on his mandingo frame. He looked like sex. Pure, unadulterated sex.
This is Vanita when she was a kid, ain't it?
Staring at him intoxicated me. That dark, uncontrollable side of me wanted to take over. It had been so long since I had passion. Maybe that was why these thoughts...
You know what? That's how I'm going to think about it. Okay, Miss Bernita.
At least until she was fed. But once I started, I had a tendency to overeat. Had a propensity toward carnal gluttony. And gluttony always created guilt and shame. I almost ran away from that golden-skinned Adonis. But there was always a but. There was always an exception. The sexy way he frowned. The way he was breathing so smooth, in control. I licked my lips like I was lapping the perspiration away from his beautiful skin. The tight-eyed mandingo stopped to stretch his back, jumped up and down like he was shaking the pain off, and started back hiking. His trek was bringing him closer and closer to me. I lowered my head,
Oh, don't
the
get
lust
scared
draining
now.
out my eyes before I went blind.
Don't get
I
scared
hurried for
now.
him to walk by me, but he paused in front of me. I looked in his face, his expression a blend of ecstasy and pain. I didn't say anything, stared at him, waited to see if he was going to continue his journey, but he didn't move. He gazed in my eyes, wiped sweat from his face, from his tanned skin. He disturbed me the way I had disturbed other men. Once, maybe 3 years ago, I was in the aristocratic bowels of London, late at night, coming out of the mountaintop tunnel. I was alone in the financial district, close to the midnight hour, heading down a narrow alley that led to
Late in the
Queen Street.
midnight
The
hour.
air chilly as I hurried towards the flower I was entering that moment. I'd come into the alley with a European man in a black suit, a man who had the look of a powerful diplomat, was walking toward me, his shoes clip-clopping on the narrow pathway. Clip-clopping until he raised his head,
This
his
author is
breath
too
steaming
detailed.
from his mouth.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Until he raised his eyes and saw me. My hair was down, my dress black and fitted, covered by a coat. But that coat was open enough to reveal my mild cleavage. He stopped walking when he saw me. In the softest voice, he cursed and called his god's name in the same vulgar expression. He scared me. His expression, the way his mouth opened wide and his eyes opened wider. The way he stared. His body language told me he was stunned by what he saw. And then, right then, he unzipped his pants, took out his sex, and as he gazed into my eyes that were terrified,
How did we get here?
his lust overwhelmed him.
And didn't she say she's on the street? I'm confused.
On the street.
He roughed with himself.
This is sexual harassment.
Substantial.
Yeah.
That bloodiness, a contrast to his dark clothing, to the dark skies, to the dark pavement, to the dark moments.
Which one do I want to use today?
His pleasure was desperate and
Bottom.
his voice muffled, his face in a violent rapture, his eyes locked on mine the entire time, like a snake, prepared to strike or spew venom. I wanted to run away from that pervert, but I couldn't move.
Okay, so yeah, she's on the street.
He grunted, he erupted, he staggered, he moaned. When he was done, he stood there, winded, drool seeping from his mouth, his face becoming slackened,
There's no
his desire leaking from his thick hands to his black toothpaste.
And she stood there and watched this.
He
Stood and watched.
It began blubbering uncontrollably.
No, what? I like stuff pause. You're in the middle of the London streets as a foreigner. You walking down whatever alley you walking. You see a crazed man stare at you. Your instincts are kicking in. Okay, maybe I get into it. Then this man reaches into his pants, pulls out his, as you call it, sex. Begins to choke the chicken.
Oh, hell no! 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 Oh, hell no!
Oh, hell no.
All of this you're watching before your very eyes. When he's done, you are still sitting there making eye contact? Still making eye contact is crazy. Alexa, play. This woman is ill.
This woman is ill.
Begged for my forgiveness. Told me he had never done anything that sordid before. He said he didn't know what had happened. Just cried that I was so bloody beautiful. He pled temporary insanity. I closed my coat, my heels moving at a hurried pace, as I made a wide arc around him, avoiding his river of cum.
River is crazy.
On that night, I didn't understand that perverted man, why he would do something like that. In this moment, I understood. At this moment, on
So you understand sexual harassment.
Alexa.
Okay. And you know what? You see what did I say last time, guys? Red, the flags are crimson. They're crimson. It's crazy. This is insanity. I'm gonna have to drink.
As predicted, TK just called me.
Mm-hmm.
I texted him. Alexa, play.
Shout out to T.
and myself image. Wanted to stare in his beautiful eyes and come with a quickness. He said, "Nice view, huh?" His baritone voice was smooth, articulate, educated. I licked my lips, cleared my throat, purged my thoughts, sent them to the land of the impure as I turned my frown upside down, forced a smile. My smile feeling tentative, hopefully unreadable. It took a moment of searching, but I found my voice. My voice cracked, throat dehydrated as I said, "Depends on what you're looking at."
She is the dehydrated sister.
Taking in God.
Okay.
And I, awkwardness invaded me.
Get that lady some milk.
He pointed. Downtown Atlanta. Well, downtown was in that direction. Kennesaw Mountain is over that way. My feet kept moving, lifting my body. Kept touching my hair. He had me rattled, nervous. In that moment, I saw things I hadn't seen before. The tattoos on his arms and stomach. On his right arm, he had a tattoo of a female angel with her wings wrapped around herself. The angel extremely beautiful. There was a cross on his left shoulder. The word Kenya tattooed on his left forearm. I assumed he was Kenyan. He had run with the grace and speed of a Kenyan. The tattoos didn't pull me in like the nice nipples on his face.
She about to piss me off.
Penis is great.
What?
Alexa, rewind 10 seconds.
What is in?
Erect nipples that looked like seeds.
Turn Alexa up too, please.
While the way veins rose out of his muscular
Great,
arms.
thank you.
Sweat raining from his skin like tears. He held up a hand, blocked the sun from his eyes, and gazed at me. Looked right into my eyes. I had to look up to make that eye contact happen. He smiled, showed hints of his straight white teeth. I wanted to find something wrong with him. Needed to find some fault. There was none I could see. He was astounding. Created visual molestation. The heat, the humidity.
I'm exasperated.
I wasn't prettied up. I was gritty. Animal urges blending with the sensuality of working out, living in the zone of pain and pleasure. Before I could readjust, before I could deal with this awkwardness, something else happened. It was as if I had imagined our conversation, as if I had daydreamed his presence. I saw him again. I saw him coming up the mountain again. I blinked 100 times, blinked away from what had to be a dream, a hallucination, a fantasy. Once again, the golden Mandingo was hiking up the mountain, coming toward me like a deja vu. Same smile, same black running shorts, same physique. He was just now coming up the mountain. And inside this magical moment, standing next to me at the same time, the second Mandingo came over and stopped in front of me. He looked at his doppelganger, panted, and said, "You found the road runner. Told you I was going to find him." Mouth wide open, I stared at them. My world shifted. It was like I had fallen into a Philip K. Dick sci-fi movie.
Twins.
One
More than likely.
real was unreal. Same baritone voice. The only real difference was the first one I had body. The one without the tats looked more reserved, more businesslike. The other had the bad boy thing going on. And the one without the tats wore a wedding ring. The heat had me delirious. The altitude and dehydration had me seeing a split screen. I said, "Am I having a heat stroke? Am I seeing double?" The one who came up last panted and said, "You're in a government chewing gum commercial." There was an abrupt crackling in the sky, loud enough to make everyone on the summit stop and look out into the distance. People scaling the face of the mountain did the same. All around us, the heavens were growling, skies becoming restless and dark, filled with electrical surges, like my body and soul. The noise arrived and its rumble became endless, a warning that soon rain would be falling, soon lightning would be striking down the dam. Despite the rumbling skies, my eyes wouldn't move from them, couldn't cease staring, evaluating. I said, "Identical twins." The one with the tat said, "Saw you running." The other with the wedding ring said, "I passed you first. You ran at a good clip." Again, I touched my arm and realized I was sticky. No makeup on, lips dry, so unpretty. I should have run away from them. Should have run down the mountain as fast as I could. Nervousness rising, thoughts impure, I said, went around the mountain twice. The one without the tag said, we did 3 leaps. I said, 15 miles. Nice. We were on the last loop when we passed you. The one with the tags nodded. What's your name? Nia Simone. Nina Simone? No, Nia Simone. Nia as in purpose. The one with the tag said, Nia as in the 5th day of Kwanzaa. I smiled a little. Right. And Simone like the writer Simone de Beauvoir? Gotcha. The one wearing the wedding ring repeated. Nia Simone. Yeah. Named after the existentialist feminist Simone Lucie Ernestine Marie Bertrand de Beauvoir. I paused, amazement rising in my expression. No, wasn't named in her honor. Was joking. I asked, are you familiar with her work? The second sex, existence precedes essence. You're aware of her theories? She took a lot from Jean-Paul Sartre and Mary Wollstonecraft. I'm not familiar with Wollstonecraft. I was impressed. Literature and those who took time to read different points of view, I always found them more fascinating. Just like that, I found a married man more interesting, if only for a moment. Sweat dripping from their bare chests, they maintained their identical smiles.
Here she go, y'all.
You guys always hike up here? Get out. The one with the tack smiled, motioned at his brother. Mark hikes up here at the end of the run. That let me know the one without the tats was Mark. The unmarked one was Mark. Carl, the storm is about to hit. The wind is picking up, getting cooler. Mark pointed at the dark clouds that were moving our way. And that let me know the one with the tats was Carl. The one with the Kenya tattooed on his body was Carl. My mind created word associations, a memory exercise. Unmarked, Mark. Kenya, etched in his skin. That was Carl. Mark wore a wedding ring that had both disappointed me and captured my attention. Mark went on. Carl's a photographer. His brother chuckled. I have an eye for beauty. He was determined to find you before we left this mountain. I said, you're photographers? I'm a developer. That was Mark. My brother's a photographer. Carl asked, you model? Not at all. What do you do? Writer. Really? What do you write? Ghostwriting, trashy novels. The kind that are populated by douche characters wasting their days in brothels, strip clubs, and seedy bars. Nothing comparable to Simone de Beauvoir. Mark said, what a coincidence. I asked, what do you mean? Call those trashy photos. That'll be the same douche characters you write about. Erotic. Carl flipped his brother the bird. I do erotic photos from time to time. Carl rubbed his sweaty tat, then wiped the sweat away from his nipples. That simple movement, that sexy movement made sweat drain down across his glorious and godlike 8-pack. I just came back from the UK. I said, I love the UK. Which part did you visit? It was in Brixton in central London. On holiday? Work? Really? Did a project for a book I'm putting together. Rouge characters, I take it? Classy and erotic. Like I said, Rouge characters. It's classy. The tattooed twin laughed, his laughter full and hearty, making his solid frame echo a joyous sensuality. I did an American project 2 years ago. Now doing an international thing. Mostly when I'm in town, I do weddings, funerals, special events, headshots, stuff like that. I swallowed. Always wanted to learn photography. Carl asked, you ever been to the W? Went for twice. Nice bar. Mark said, there's a little function going on over there later. Carl slept. His abs looking like balls were implanted under his skin. Rolling Out magazine. Photographer I know is having a little get-together.
We have been in this scene for
You're pretty sweet. Called that in night. Starting around 9. I said, I have some writing to do, but I'll keep that in mind. He was staring at my breasts, focused on my nipples. They ached. They re-wrecked, pushing against my sports bra. Blue stone mountains. I stared at his nipples too.
Did she say Stone Mountains?
In a glance, I saw his
like
text was
Stone
turned
Mountain,
to the right.
Georgia.
Then I quickly
The
put my
actress.
eyes on his. I swallowed. Then I
All
ignored
right.
the fact that the one with the tags had just asked me out. I turned to Mark. And you're a developer? As in developing photos? Homes. Planned communities. We started walking back down the ball of granite at the same time. The twin with the tats led the way. Some spots rugged, all uneven. The kind of trail that was better to hike up than climb down, because hiking down a mountain this steep was bad on the knees. Every time I looked up, I saw his tight backside and muscular back in front of me. The twin sporting the wedding ring walked down behind me. Whenever I looked back, I saw his package hanging to the right. I evaluated them again. Evaluated them as if they were the same person, as if they were one man. Beautiful complexions, teeth like Hollywood movie stars, seductive smiles. They had me in the middle, like they were protecting me, surrounding me with their sex. On the steep sections, they helped me down. Not that I needed help, but I didn't refuse their unneeded assistance. Each time they touched me, a new wetness grew between my legs. The sense of touch, so powerful, regardless of how
She's
sexual
having a threesome fantasy right now. She can't stand up.
in the mountain. On the way down, I saw the making of clear, freshwater pools being formed by rainwater gathering in eroded depressions. Heard those depressions were home to unusual clam shrimp and fairy shrimp. The tiny shrimp appeared only during the rainy season, and I heard that the adult shrimp died when the pools dried up, leaving behind eggs to survive until the next rains. They waited while I got down on my haunches and stared at nature.
Not your haunches.
Another electrical boom in the distance. The married twin said, "You better hurry." We moved on, made it to the bottom, crossed the train tracks, headed to the parking lot. The air was getting thicker. Felt a telling breeze coming on, the herald to a storm. The one with the tat said, "You're going 5 points and hit the flying biscuit. Come on, let us feed you." Nah, I'm going to shower and stay in, get some writing done. The married one backed off. Then the one with the tat stepped up. Well, hold up for a minute. The rain had slowed, almost stopped, but the sky boomed again. I motioned at the sky. I have to go. We'll be right back. Part of me wanted to bark and run into the woods, race across the red dirt and hide among the trees. Got to the vehicle and drove back to my car. The twin with the tats was driving a 4-door Jeep Wrangler, a burgundy color with a black hardtop. By then, I was still standing next to my car, towel in hand. They pulled up and stopped on the side of me. They had t-shirts and Atlanta Braves baseball caps on. They gave me their business cards. The tatted twin held up a camera, an expensive Nikon. He asked, "Do you mind?" I dabbed my arms. "Knock yourself out." From the side of his ride, he started snapping photos of me, his Nikon clicking over and over, his flash like lightning. The rain started again, a cool rain that made me tingle. I set free a soft moan. Rain fell on my skin. The rain felt good. I imagined steam rising from every pore as I cooled down. I asked, "You finished?" "Be natural. Don't look at the camera. Pretend I'm not here." "Is that how you do it? When you're taking your erotic pictures?" "Just be natural. Pretend you're one of the louche characters in your trashy novels." I didn't feel sexy, but he made me feel sexy. Made me feel sexy as hell. The skies boomed again, the warning not to be misinterpreted. I said, "You done? Or do you want me to keep posing until I get struck by lightning?" He laughed and put his Nikon away. I glanced inside his Jeep, saw a plastic batsman hanging from his rearview mirror. I wiped rain from my face and said, "Cool batsman souvenir." The one with the wedding ring leaned forward. "What do you know about cricket?" "I love cricket. Mom played. I played some. Back home, everyone plays cricket." "Where are you from?" "Trinidad. I'm a Trini." They looked at each other and laughed hard. The one with the tat said, "We were born in Barbados." I yielded a smile.
Why you got a Kenya tattoo then?
"Why do you have Kenya tattooed on your arm?"
Okay, she asked my question.
The photographer's smile lessened. Edges of pain surfaced, then went away. His true emotions veiled by a quick yet gentle expression, one that made him look vulnerable, human and wounded. He said, "We're Bayesian." "You guys don't sound Bayesian." The photographer smiled. "We moved around a lot, but we grew up out here." The married one laughed, then he mocked me. "You know Trini, you know sing-song in your voice." "Some. Not like my mother. She took me to California when I was still a baby." "Which part?" "Grew up in LA." "You know Barbados?" "I know about crop over, cave
You like
shepherds, and
Mobby?
large gap. And we know about eating doubles, Caribbean, the borough check on us." They laughed and smiled identical smiles. Those smiles as delicious as doubles. The one with the tats motioned at his souvenir batsman. "Ordered in Antigua." I nodded. Wonderful island. 365 beaches. We were there in March. Went for the Stanford 2020. So you saw Barbados lose to Trinidad. Just when you seemed to be so likable. No need to open old wounds. You were there for the Stanford 2020? So was I. You and your boyfriend? Your husband? I smiled at his flirty question, his way of checking my status. I answered, "Me and my mother." "Really?" I asked, "Where did you guys stay?" "Dickinson Bay." "You?" "Vista Condo at Jolly Harbor." "Other side of the island." "Yeah." Outside of cricket, we did a lot of snorkeling.
We are still at the
Jet
mountain.
skiing, windsurfing, Devil's Bridge, Pigeon Point Beach. Got massages and touch therapies. Spent a lot of time in the countryside. We were at Sandals. Sandals was a couple's only resort. I knew he didn't stay there with his brother. I swallowed, uneasy yet fascinated. Introduced reality when I asked, "Was your wife with you?" He paused. "She came down for a weekend." "Your wife, did she enjoy 2020? "She's not a cricket fan. Couldn't care less about the sport, or any sport for that matter." "Too bad. What did she do on the island?" "Same as everyone else. She sat on the beach. Took her to that rainforest one day. I took my mother to the rainforest. We did the suspension bridge, the catwalk, the wobbly bridge. Did all of the challenge courses. Small world. She left and you were probably liming with the diligent women at Wendy's or the Blue Diamond." They laughed, had the expressions of men exposed. Those naughty laughs telling me they were surprised I knew the names of the places men went to buy new dances and these working women. The married one said, "You must have been following my brother all over the island." The way he said that was exposing, competitive, and at the same time awkward and strange. The skies boomed again. Driven by the sound, we all looked to the darkening skies. The photographer said, "Swing by the W. We can talk about the islands and Soka." His brother added, "And cricket. If it's not stormy. If I'm not writing. If not, it was nice meeting both of you." We waved and they drove away. Identical twins. Dual desires. I stayed where I was, accepted the rain until I was wet all over. Wetter in some places than should be allowed. I eased inside my Z4, headed out of the park, took to I-78, then found my way to I-285. Rain came down hard, changed from mild to treacherous in the blink of an eye. The temptation was too great. The look in the photographer's eyes, his intentions were clear. He'd hiked up a mountain to find me, as if he knew what I was thinking, as if he knew my feelings. Both had given me business cards, as if it was up to me to choose the flavor of my sin. Or tuck my tail between my legs and run into the woods. There was nothing more exciting than the possibility of a new lover. Nothing more stimulating. Nothing as frightening. But, yes, there was always a but. The men who were easy on the eyes were never painless on the heart. I had learned that when I was attending Hampton. My senior year, devastating and
H.U.
innocence and joy forever. Idealist views of love murdered. Who I was before, never attainable. Life moved forward.
It is.
Rain, the bringer of floods.
I have several
The diluter of fires.
hours.
I took the business cards in my hand, looked at each as if I was still staring at Carl and Mark. Impure thoughts so strong as I whispered, "Be careful, Anais. Be careful of normal pleasures." I let my window down, stuck my hand out into the rain, allowed my fantasies to slip through my fingers. Gave their cards to the elements, to thunder and lightning, rainwater, baptizing my strong desires. Chapter 4. Soon I was passing Spaghetti Junction, where 285 and 85 crossed. A zillion lanes of traffic and off-ramps and overpasses. The rain was hard and steady.
We not in your house yet?
I was on the phone.
We're still
once
in the
again with
car.
my mother, the Beijing twins on my mind. But those wicked thoughts were fading. Our conversation had picked up where we left off, talking about my new project. She was always interested in and supportive of my work, no matter what I did. Loved her for that. My mother asked, "What got you thinking in the sci-fi direction?" I saw this article on dating, about how it had changed since women outnumbers had changed from 285 to 75. And music was, once again, inspired by the islands. Desiree Garcia giving me her soca rhythms, my mind on my hunger, planning to go home and cook hellooooo soup with fresh spinach and crab meat. I sped down the off-ramp, and it hit me that I hadn't checked my postal box in a few days. So instead of going right up Cobb Parkway toward Spring Road, my journey was modified. I went left, up Cobb Parkway past Barnes & Noble and Cumberland Mall, then pulled into the strip mall that housed Circuit City, Toys R Us, LA Fitness, and the Smyrna brand.
Why does all this need to be put in the store?
I wanted to check my post office box before going home and shutting down, knowing I would be in for the night. I wish I hadn't gone to the post office. There was junk mail, and a really heavy letter, one that had the size and weight of a subpoena. For a second, I felt anger, wondered what the hell was going on now. The envelope with the weight of a court order. It was a letter from the man I had left behind. First a text message, now this bullshit. I stood in a trance, rain falling outside, holding a weighty message from Logan. Every extremity went numb. His aroma was on the letter. He had invaded my senses. I moved my ponytail out of the way, rubbed the back of my neck, then put the letter down on the counter. Rubbed my temples, felt an intense headache coming on. The damp floor squeaking underneath my damp running shoes as I paced. Squeaking as I shook my head. Squeaking as I tried to keep my blood pressure down. I'd abandoned him on Beale Street. I'd left Memphis in May and put distance between us, using that distance and lack of communication to dilute whatever had happened between us. Seeing his name on the envelope, his address up in Memphis, inhaling his scent, all of that put me in a state of panic. In a world filled with text messages, emails, faxes, he had broken down and sent me a letter. I counted the pages. 6. There were 6 pages, filled top to bottom. Each word written on his personalized Strathmore envelopes and paper. Crisp and conservative linen in the whitest of whites. It started with a classic poem. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach. Then his words followed, his struggling to articulate what he felt for me inked on paper. It was only romantic when that was what you wanted. I did not want this. This was the opposite of romantic. Your beauty is like an eclipse. Can't look at it directly without going blind. I shook my head, aggravation swirling inside me. The L word was written on every page, as if the more he wrote the L word down, the more it would make me feel as he felt. There was no such thing as love by osmosis. It was manipulative, criminal the way he abused the L word. If that was how he felt, it was unsettling, because I didn't want him to feel this way. He knew I didn't want him to feel that way. Not returning his calls was a clue, and he knew that I'd rather he felt the opposite of this way. 6 pages. 6 pages handwritten top to bottom. Nauseous feeling rose up inside me. I bent over until they went away. I stared at the rain, frowning, shaking my head. I was in a trance. Across the parking lot was a billboard for the local news featuring the jewel of the South. I focused on her, stared at her femme fatale eyes. Eyes that looked strong. Eyes that made me feel stronger than I was at the moment. Damn, Logan, let it go. I had hoped that his desire for me had been cremated and scattered to the winds, set on fire by my negligence. I had let go. I didn't want to be brutal. I only wanted to be honest. But when it wasn't what the other person longed to hear, honesty tended to be brutal. Honesty sounded cruel. Honesty was evil. The only other option was to lie. But a lie would not open the doors to my freedom. A lie would enslave me to what I was trying to escape. A lie did not benefit me in any positive way. Sometimes trying to be honest without being brutal was like trying to swim and not get wet.
You better speak.
Thunder boomed as I ran through the downpour and raced to my car. As soon as I closed the door, I picked up my cellular and called Logan. Chalk that up to irresistible impulse, driven by a mixture of angst and rage.
You ain't supposed to call
Logan
him.
answered on the first ring.
And was
Is this
it?
my Trinity girl finally calling me back? I swallowed. He knew I had been born in Port of Spain. He knew my father had been killed before I was born. Knew that a year later, my mother had ended up meeting a hard-working and financially prudent man from Los Angeles. Then my Trini days were over, and my West Coast life began. Not many people knew that. Not many people knew much about me. I liked it that way. I said, Logan, I miss you. His desperate and sincere tone halted me, made me, in that moment, feel massive guilt. Was worried about you, Leah. Been sick worried about you. Just got the letter you sent. I just got it. What do you think? Guilt gave way to anger. Anger that wanted to make my peaceful spirit turn evil. But that was my frustration. A caged emotion that wanted to lash out like a riled tiger. So many errors were in his letter. It killed me how educated people still didn't get that your Y-O-U-R
Heard these
was
errors.
possessive, and your Y-O-U-R
He over here professing his love.
meant
He's
you
great.
are. And the phrase wasn't could care less. It was couldn't care less. Could care less meant you still care. Right now, I couldn't care less about Logan. I wanted to tell that college graduate and successful businessman to learn the difference between their T-H-E-I-R and their T-H-E-R-E. That there was no letter D in congratulate. Wanted to tell him to relearn the I before E rule. Really wanted to point out E regardless.
That's not even true for every word, though.
Wanted to drive
I know.
home, take a
English
red
is so
pen,
confusing.
and mark correctly all over his bloated 6-page manifesto and mail it back to him.
6
FedEx,
pages.
overnight. I took a breath. Look, We really should talk. To clear the air between us. Good. I'm in Atlanta. I paused. What? ATL. What are you doing in Atlanta? Drove down in the rain. You drove 400 miles in the rain? Why would you do that? I need to see you. This happened. Did you get here? Not too long ago. What are you doing here? Was waiting to hear from you.
Oh no, he's sick. He's sick.
You hadn't agreed. Even if you left a message, we hadn't talked about you coming down here. There is more to an agreement than you leaving a message than doing what you want to do. Why don't you answer the call? I don't have pressure mounting and I rubbed my temples. The answer to that question seemingly obvious. What I felt was the opposite of pleasure. I had left him. I had sensed there was going to be an emotional earthquake, knew in advance, and had left without warning. Now that earthquake was here. He asked, "Can I come over?" I've been driving close to 7 hours on bad roads. Will you at least meet me? Nope. Where are you? Stand up. I said, "You're in Midtown?" "We're in Midtown. Atlantic Station." "Okay. Then take 75 up to Howell Mill Road. That's about halfway. This was my area. I didn't want him near my home. Didn't want him to try and pull the I need a place to crash tonight routine. He had my mind all messed up. Had my thoughts all over the place. He said, "Okay, Howell Mill Road, then what?"
That's it.
I paused, thought about it. You know where Walmart is? I can find Howell Mill Road with my GPS. Where's Walmart? When you get off, go left. You'll see a brand new plaza on the left. Verizon and a Starbucks and a Ross are up top. Walmart is down on the lower level, underground. Meet me down there. When? Now. I hung up. My heart beat like I had just finished a grueling run. I was afraid.
But you did, didn't you?
That was a while ago though.
I left his number programmed in my cell
She done
phone.
talked her own ear off, talked to her mama, sat in the car, went to the post office.
I answered.
Hello?
I had to respond to the woman's call. Text When I was done, I was done.
As you should be, Bookie.
Up until the text message he had sent this morning, he'd stopped reaching out at least a month ago. Never expected to hear from him again. At least not this soon. Not like this. In my mind, he had finally cut bait and moved on. Maybe because I had moved on a long time ago. I cursed. Here I go with this madness.
Yep.
I didn't want to deal with this insanity. I thought this part of my life was over. I thought I was free. But I was wrong. I had to go get my freedom. I had to fight for what I already owned. As I drove through the storm, I practiced what I was going to say. A preacher preparing her sermon. But I trembled as if I was a runaway, caught and imprisoned, going before the parole board. My vocabulary was sufficient, my education superlative. But still, I looked for the words that would make him understand that this was over. I wanted to tell him that if we continued, this relationship would become a caricature of a real relationship. And in the end, he would hate me as I would hate him. I wasn't a woman to him. I was something else to conquer. And once he conquered me, I'd become ordinary in his eyes. And like the rest of the women he'd been involved with, I'd become superfluous. As he had become superfluous to me.
Alexa, pause. Are we at the spelling bee?
We
We have been on the mountain for 76 years. Then we were in the car for 35 and a half years. Now we're at a spelling bee. I like the story. I hate the writing. It's annoying at this point. Very much so. Annoying. Alexa, play it.
But part of it was my fault. That blame accepted without any hints of regret. I tried to understand me, why I did the things I did. I'd rushed into too many relationships. I'd promised loyalty because loyalty was expected, knowing that loyalty was not what I was capable of giving. Not forever. Not since Hampton. As far as I was concerned, man was the most difficult. I went to that underground parking structure at Walmart. Logan's Range Rover pulled in right behind me, parked next to me on my driveway. My heartbeat was in my throat. He was on his cellular. He motioned at his phone, then smiled at me. The veins rising in my neck, I smiled too. My smile being a frown turned upside down. Again, I took a deep breath. I eased out of the car. I didn't check myself in the mirror, didn't arrange my hair, didn't wipe oil from my face. Left myself the way I wanted to look for him, the opposite of pretty. Two women passed by. Women who were pushing overloaded Walmart baskets. Both were smoking and looked like creatures who loathed the sun and lived on caffeine, nicotine, and crispy.
What did them ladies do to you?
They looked at me in my sweaty clothing, my ashen face, my wild hair, and gave me a frown that said they despised people who tanned well and looked like they lived on tofu and organic food. Those women might outlive me, but in the end, my coffin will be easier to carry. Logan got out of his Range Rover, hanging up his cellular as he came toward me.
Well,
The women in the tri-state area looked at him and lost control. Women who were financially strained. Women who needed supplemental income to make ends meet. They did their best to get next to him. He never had that power over me. I wasn't one of the women in the world who was desperate to be taken care of. I only needed pleasure. In the end, his sex had released liquid boredom inside the latex barrier between my thighs. His best stroke had made Yoni yawn, close her dry lips, and fall into a deep slumber. Logan could
Not
not
Yoni
please me
yawn.
when I desired to be pleased. Logan could not fuck. How do you tell a man he is sexually incompetent without making it seem as if you are attacking his ego? He claimed he could buy and sell the better parts of Memphis' Shelby County whenever he felt like it. He had a large home, expensive cars, tailored clothing, was more popular than Jerry Lawler. None of that impressed me. I grew up around oceans and Hollywood celebrities, the real celebrities. Saw them walking through my home with their shoes off. Saw them sipping beers and watching games in my den. I had my own money, so I had my own economic power. Lacked desperation and need, and with financial independence came a new kind of clarity. I didn't have to settle for less than I deserved. I didn't need to tether myself to any man for financial reasons. He came too close, touched my arm right above the elbow, and I felt the opposite of moist. He touched me on my arm, and I yanked away. His smile lessened as his eyes widened. I shook my head. He thought that touch would reawaken some desire inside me. Some desire for him that had never taken root. He didn't understand me. When I was no longer attracted to a man, when he was no longer fulfilling me, I couldn't imagine him in a sexual way. He saw that in my eyes. He saw that in my body language.
I want to bring this.
I felt sorry that he was hurting, but there was no attraction. The thrill was gone. He took a deep breath, nodded, his lips tight, vulgarity dancing in his eyes. Logan, look. What did I do wrong? Why are you here? Are you seeing somebody else? That's not the issue. Are you? I'm not answering that. I drove down in the storm to see you. I didn't ask you to. Mia, I'm here. What do you want, Logan? What did I do wrong? I took a hard breath.
Hey, tell that man already. Damn.
You didn't do anything wrong. Maybe that's the problem. I don't love you, Logan. Maybe not now. But do you think maybe if we gave it some more time,
Nigga.
do you think you could?
He need to stand up.
Waiting for me to love you would be like waiting on Santa Claus.
Ooh.
It looked like he was about to fall apart. I felt the same way. This was mentally exhausting. It took more energy than running a marathon. A white teenager passed by, leaning to the side like he wanted to be pimp of the year. His car packed with his
Should
white
I
friends. Windows up, but his music
leave
so
it like
soft.
this?
Pause.
Should I leave it like this?
If you want to be different, then yes. But if you want to be symmetrical,
No, girl. I mean, should I leave the rhinestones like this, or should I like wing them out, or should I just leave it right here and just do the same thing on the side?
if you're gonna wing it out, I say leave a gap, just for a random ass like space. But I like it where it is. I don't think you need to add anything.
Okay,
I too added a few rhinestones.
cool. All right, bet.
Alexa, play.
Here is Black Idols peppering the air with foul language. A duet that gave equal time to misogynistic and misandrous lyrics. The genocidal music faded like some relationships never would. I asked Logan, "Are we done?"
Oh.
He rubbed his neck for a moment, then cleared his throat. Said, "I left some stuff at your place back in Memphis. And now, they're at my townhouse. When can I come get my things?" "We'll arrange something." "Can I come now?" "Not now." "Well, I have your address. So I'm here and I can't come by to pick it up?" "No."
Boundary.
"You shacking up or something?" Again, I rubbed my temples. "Look, Logan, I can FedEx it all to you first thing in the morning." FedEx. Let's not make this any more painful than it needs to be. No need to drag this out. He chuckled. No need to drag this out? Is that right? No more than it's already been dragged out. He nodded. I did the same. The things he had left at my place in Memphis, I had already put them in a ragged box. His name was written on that box in bold letters. Logan. I had already unmarked my territory. I had dragged that box with me when I moved, kept it in the garage, left the things he had left behind amongst things unwanted. The rain eased up. It didn't stop, just eased up.
That's how you know she done.
You make it sound like I didn't mean a damn thing to you. We've come this far. We met by chance. Had wonderful experiences together. For what it's worth, I would really like it if we could end this in a kind way. In a way that allowed us to be friends.
Girl.
I would not want to be your friend.
Yeah, friends. Platonic friends. Without benefits. I took a sharp breath. Let some time go by, when you're not so intense, and maybe we'll reconnect as platonic friends. Wonderful experience, losing benefits. I had to sound like an executive from a Fortune 500 company acquiring an incompetent employee in the mailroom. He frowned at me like he wanted to fill me up with his ardent craving. The craving that had made him drive almost 400 miles of two-lane highway from Memphis through Birmingham to Atlanta. He said, "You've always been different." You say that like it's a bad thing. Always been sarcastic and difficult. A long stretch of silence assaulted me. I wasn't being honest. I wasn't telling the truth. Not the truth that lived inside me. It remained veiled in sarcasm. Was given indirectly by lack of phone calls and absence. I had avoided this moment.
Alexa,
Cruelty.
pause. It's been an hour, friend. Well, 55 minutes.
My alarm hasn't gone off, so we can keep going. I have 10 minutes left on over here.
Okay. Alexa, play.
Cruelty. The truth was an ugly pimple on the face of a beautiful lie. I was tired of avoiding him. tired of mind wrestling on a level that was beneath me, beneath all I strived to become, exhausted by this beautiful lie. Now it was time to acknowledge the truth. With a sigh,
Losing rhinestones left and right right now.
I
Jesus.
said simply, we're not equally yoked. We're not. You don't do it for me. Bullshit. I have submitted to my desires and had new experiences while I was with you. Submitted to your desires? What the hell does that mean? To you, it would mean that I was unfaithful to you. That paused him. He said, you're telling me you cheated? I'm telling you that I followed my desires. Let them lead me toward new experiences.
No, I would have smacked you.
Time at a time. Multiple times. Twice.
Ooh.
Twice. With the same guy?
Nope.
No. He gritted his teeth. 2 men? Yes. 2 goddamn men? Yes. Yes. In my city, we don't own Memphis. I was born there,
So,
and I was a tax-paying citizen at the time. People passed by us pushing baskets filled with provisions from Walmart. He asked, who? None of your business. He shook his head, sucked his lips. Is that all you need to be screwed? I was unhappy and I needed to feel good. He shook his head. I said, we're equally yoked. Let's just leave it at that and move on. What does equally yoked have to do with you having sex with other men? In bed, we're not equal. Out of bed, we had fun. But it was the kind of fun where other things entertained us. The games, the concerts. But the more I think about it, if you can't understand me on a mental level, we're not equally yoked there either. The way you scream and holler in bed and I don't satisfy you? Just because I allow myself to have an orgasm doesn't mean I'm happy. What do you need in order to be satisfied? I don't know what I need. My hands were shaking. Sweat dampened the back of my neck, my heart beating fast.
I hope everyone watching this, y'all also agree that she's the problem.
Companionship.
Okay.
Being with somebody you trust. Tell me this. Am I the only woman you slept with since you've been with me? Am I? Can you answer that? I'm not trying to chastise you. All I'm saying is that I understand, and I'm asking, can you understand me? Can you understand what it feels like to feel human? To have desires you wish to explore? Because the other women you were with, that was a desire you chose to explore. What other women? I've never been faithful to any man I've been with, not since college. Why are you telling me this? Because I know they weren't 100% faithful to me either. You betray, I betray. We betray each other. I knew I couldn't give them everything they needed. Not all the time. Not when what they needed was beyond me. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. There was a hard pause between us. People passed by, rushing out of Walmart. The smell of rain and asphalt mixing in the air. Every inhale harder than the one before. The air so thick and damp. Logan spoke with a calmness that made a mountain of goosebumps raise on my arms. He said, you were with 2 men in my city. While you were my woman. I might share myself with others, but I will always belong to me. You shared yourself with 2 motherfuckers while you were with me. That's right. Logan made a harsh step toward me. Then he looked around. People were staring. Logan went to his Range Rover, head down. His step slow, heavy, shaking his head as he got inside. I interpreted that as the white flag of surrender. His engine started, and I took a deep breath. His reverse lights came on, and he backed out, headed toward the red, left without looking back. He sped away, his Range Rover slashing through rain, his tires splashing falling water. My inhales were difficult, as if I was being strangled. I sat in my car, shaking, letting Logan go to wherever he was going. My head ached.
Literally.
My nerves were too bad to drive. Tears formed. I clenched my teeth and screamed. Then I leaned over the steering wheel. Salty tears fell. I created my own pressure train. I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to die alone. Somewhere in a bed with some incurable illness and no lover at my side.
Then why did you know what? Like, she's the problem. Are we in agreement?
That unexpected transition to whatever destination we had after this existence. No, I didn't want to be alone. Not in the end. Not when it was time. But I didn't want to be with him. Not with Logan. I didn't want to end this existence with him staring in my eyes at the dimming of my day. And I didn't want him to die holding my hand when he experienced the same eventual moment. If I was being selfish, then that selfishness was my right. I had no husband. I had no children. Right now, selfishness meant I was loving myself first, taking care of my needs the way I felt they should be taken care of. I didn't want to sacrifice myself for anyone who wouldn't sacrifice themselves for me. Then why in the fuck did I feel so goddamn guilty?
Well, you should.
Confusion angered me, made me feel inept, made me lash out in defense, made me primal. Confusion meant there was no control. My mind was floundering, each thought collapsing. I jumped when there was a tap on my window. Logan was back, explore my sensuality and sexuality, unrestricted by any man. Tears fell from my eyes like rain. My head ached. I needed a fucking drink.
Me
I
too.
needed to escape this
Listen to
pain
this.
and find pleasure.
Yeah, we gotta
Chapter 5.
invest in a red flag of literal.
Literal.
Nighttime was when the primal urges struggled to take control. Nighttime was the time when the unhappy became restless. It was nighttime. I was stressed. I was unhappy. I was restless. By 10 p.m., state troopers had the interstates lit up with their flashing lights. A ton of speeders had been busted by radar and pulled over on I-285 between I-75 and Georgia 400. The 400 also being known as the Alpharetta Autobahn. I kept my speed right at the limit until I exited at Ashwood Dunwoody, headed toward the scent of apple martinis. The W Hotel was across from the far end of the Perimeter Mall, just shy of California Pizza Kitchen. I eased around a roundabout, saw the arm was up on the visitor lot, decided to save the valet money, and went into that lot. Sat in the car, Alexandra O'Neill singing If You Were Here Tonight, on Sirius. Checked my makeup, reapplied lip gloss, thanked God for MAC and how it made my skin look. Every W was so sexy and sophisticated, attracted beautiful people. It was a great place for hanging out on my laptop or lounging. Loved the way the lobby was laid out like an airy living room with free-form seating. The low tables were sexy as hell. Everyone was already here, the crew from Rolling Out magazine and their followers sashaying and peacocking around with drinks in hand, working hard, relaxing on the sofas, laughing and schmoozing. Hundreds of votive candles had the first floor lit up. I searched for familiar faces and didn't see the twins. Maybe they didn't come. If they did, doubted if they would flirt with me. They might not remember me or recognize me since I was in decent clothing. My hair was done, face made up, and I was 3 inches taller. There were a lot of women here, attractive women of all sizes and complexions. Too much competition in a city where the women outnumbered the men about 20 to 1. Women with bodies like strippers and ass measurements that equal their waists plus 20 inches. Even if they didn't swing from a pole, they owned the physiques that the church-going men, rappers, and politicians loved to decorate with dollar bills. I looked around, loved that Miami feeling of the place, the colorful and artsy furniture, loved the way they had couches on the patio, Loved the large cushions on the furniture. Loved the sexual energy. Orgasmic desires crackled like an electrical storm. I felt good. Loved to get dressed up. The MAC makeup, the perfume, the sexy clothes. It was fun to walk into a room, hips moving with the confidence of Natalie Portman in the final moments of the movie Closer. Hair down as if to say I was uninhibited, and see the effect I had on men. A nice-looking man walked over to me. Wavy hair, freckles. He said, "Would you like to go to room 521? Excuse me? Would you like to come up to my suite with me? I'm not your type. And what is my type? Women who look hip and chic, but in reality are pathetically lonely and desperate. And broke. Smiling women sitting on their low self-esteem. Women who never had attention given to them in a healthy way. Women who confuse emotional abuse with affection.
Okay, yappa 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 to the stranger like this.
I'd love to drink your bathwater. In my bathwater. He walked away, headed toward a group of women ready to continue his hunt.
What is going on?
Alcohol.
I'm surprised nobody's ever punched this lady in her face.
I smiled at a few people, found an open spot at the
This
bar,
lady is insane.
ordered an apple martini. Men would come over now. Men were smart. Smart enough to let a woman order a drink first before making the move. If I were a man, I'd do the same. Wouldn't waste a dime, let alone $10 on a stranger. Sexual predators disguised as perfect gentlemen. Gold diggers disguised as respectable ladies. I looked around the room, witnessed all the sexual arousal. Human beings were capable of sexual arousal, and it had nothing to do with the urge to procreate. That made every day mating season. Sometimes I wondered if primal needs, if sex was the only thing that united men and women. The need to seek pleasure, the urge to procreate. Take away those needs, and each sex would render the other useless, pointless. Without desire, one sex would have destroyed the other a billion years ago. Men would have tossed all of us women to the dinosaurs, if we hadn't poisoned and castrated them first. I laughed at myself, laughed hard, and shook my head. When I started thinking like that, it was time for me to head back home. Before I could get up, a brother sat on the bar stool next to mine. Jeans, black shoes, black blazer, thick designer t-shirt that had hues of brown and orange to make a soaring sign. Like a smiling sun about to go supernova. He smelled nice. Very nice. He smelled of egoist, an aroma that enhanced his masculinity. Oriental.
You're covering your microphone. You're covering your mic. You're covering your microphone.
But you're on the laptop. I don't even know what a microphone is.
Somewhere by your thing. It sounds a little muffled, just a little bit.
I don't know.
So I just heard a bunch
Alexa.
of rustling.
Oh no, that was my thing. I'll flip something away. Alexa, play.
Buy you a drink, miss? Vision.
Ooh, excuse me.
My stepfather's was French,
Thank you.
so you're bilingual. Oui. Some Spanish as well. Trilingual. See? Can I buy you a drink, Miss Bijou? I don't know. Can you? May I buy you a drink, Miss Bijou? Swallow simple thoughts. My legs and nervous bounce. Working on this one. He asked, "Is Miss Bijou waiting on someone special?" Everybody's either waiting on somebody or looking for somebody. He smiled a confident smile. He had charisma, and he knew he had charisma. I looked at his left hand. Didn't see a wedding ring. Still wasn't sure if he was Carl or Mark. Just knew he was one of the twins. All dressed up. in my personal space, engaging me in a flirting game. I played along, thrilled to be sitting next to him, impressed that he dressed so well. The sense of smell was one to be reckoned with. His egoish aroma forever enchanting and maddening. I asked, "What are your intentions?" "What do you mean?" "Seems like you're trying to get me filled with alcohol, mister." "And why?" "Just being a nice guy." I laughed. "You're being very obvious." "Am I?" "Yes, you are. No more obvious than you." I chuckled. "Am I?" "Very. Your body language says you're available. Says, 'Come here, talk to me.'" My mild laughter ended with an easy smile. "Okay, then talk to me. Things bad between you and your boyfriend?" "Didn't say I had a boyfriend." "So you don't have a boyfriend?" "Didn't say that either." "If you have one, things must be bad." "And how did you come to that conclusion?" "You're at a bar, alone. So are you. You have that beautiful and sexy dress on, that slit that shows just enough of your leg. A leg that is toned, I might add. The cleavage, all of that on display, so whoever comes over will know what's up." "Oh, please." He asked, "A beautiful woman like you, why are you still single?" "Just am. No laws against that." "Why are you single? Never found the right girl?" "I've tried." "Or are you just a guy who can't settle down with one woman?" "Like I said, I've tried." "Tell me anything." "Why would I do that?" "Because you want an application." "We'd rather have a coochie coupon instead of an application."
Spare coochie, ma'am.
Squidward, is that you?
Coochie coupon is crazy.
And I'll say what I have to in order to get one. At least you're honest. We laughed. Here's the laugh of Barbados. Mine rooted in the sing-song rhythm.
How does this become about Barbados?
He said,
What is part that makes you laugh?
"Your name, of course. Your name."
But she just saying anything.
He didn't wear a wedding ring. Didn't seem like the one who would be interested in conversations about Sartre and existentialism. He was the hearty one with the kind hands of an artist. I said, "Carl, right? I am being sexually harassed by Carl, right?" "Good memory. Hard to tell who you are with your clothes on." He laughed. "Should be easy. How so?" "I'm the good-looking brother. Mark is the ugly one." "I'll make a note of that." His eyes were all over my body. My hair, my clothing, amazed by my transformation. He said, "You made it back out. In the rain." "Was bored. Decided to get out. In the rain." I didn't ask him where his brother was tonight. Wanted to, but didn't. Heard in the hand. Still, married men were safer. He knew what it was about, so your heart was protected. I asked, "How was the rest of your day?" Spent the evening on the phone with a client. Have to drive to Greensboro to work. Greensboro? North Carolina, other side of Charlotte. New client wants me to come to do a photo shoot. Lewks characters? Probably. Customer wants fantasy shots. Got my info off my website. We agreed on a fee for doing erotic shots. Yeah, Lewks. Whatever pays the bills. As long as it's legal, I'm not one to judge. Bet it would be pretty interesting to tag along and see how you work. You could. It's a lot of setup and waiting. It would probably bore you to death. Doesn't matter. I'm a writer. We like to see everything. It's cellular, right? He looked at the caller ID, put his phone away. I chuckled. Single men, too many games. But it was always the buyer's market for them. In the end, either you wanted too much or they wanted too little. Would have asked about Mark, but the flirty game Carl just played, well, it turned me on. I sipped on my apple martini. We engaged in small talk. Flirty small talk. Eye contact. Engaged in the kind of conversation that was more about body language than content. Content was irrelevant when body language, the way he shifted, the way I shifted, the way he touched me on my arm occasionally, the way I touched his hand when it was appropriate. The proximity of our bodies. That was the true conversation. Words moved back and forth between us. Words that owned no true value because in this moment, we were more than words. He rubbed my leg with his middle finger. Let me guess. What? You were the homecoming queen, right? You're pushing it. You look exotic enough to be homecoming queen. You are really pushing it. Your personality is magnetic. And you're smart. And I'm still at a bar, alone, sipping on a drink with a man I met this morning. Let me guess. Go right ahead. Pretty woman like you, that the captain of the basketball team took you to prom. Football team. Had a thing for football players. He was my first heartbreak. Where is that heartbreaking fool now? Who knows? Guess he's not famous, huh? Guess not. You dumped him? He met another cheerleader. New Yoni, you know how that goes.
You said that to a man
Yoni?
in public?
You might know it as a vagina. Oh, you're talking about your pussy?
Okay.
I hate that word. I love pussy. I laughed at him. Yoni is the Kama Sutra word. Sounds less vulgar.
Does
You
it?
read the Kama Sutra?
Does it?
Are you into vulgar? When I need to be. Vulgar can be good. So you call your pussy a yoni? No, I just refuse to call my yoni a pussy. Sounds like loony juice. Better than loony juice. What do you call a penis? A dick?
No, okay.
Why no intellectual word for dick? There is, lingam. One of the Kama Sutra words is lingam. Why don't you use the intellectual word lingam? Because dicks aren't intellectual.
Oop.
Are you in the castration business? Yeah. Be nice and I'll show you my collection. You laugh. You're cool. Glad you noticed. I've noticed everything about you. Have you?
I didn't end up using the palette, guys.
I don't have moles. What?
I only needed this one.
That's what I noticed.
One palette look,
Is
guys.
that right?
One palette look.
Not many women can inspire a man to hike a mountain to get a number. You didn't get my number. Not
Okay, guys, this is the end of the video. It seems the more that we get into the story, the more we don't get into the story. I feel like while the premise of the the premise of the book gives like it's going to be real sensual and, you know, intimate, it's taking so long for us to get there, you know? Like, I don't know if it's just me and Shay, but we're kind of like, all right, it's getting a little dragged, you know? Like, we're 4 chapters in, we haven't gotten nowhere. I think we're in the 5th chapter now, actually. But whatever chapter we're on, we're way past the introductory stage of the, you know, thing. I'm hoping that, you know, since we left off with her going to the bar and seeing one of the twins, that possibly the story veers off into the direction that she has this relationship or whatever with him, whatever may have you. But as far as we're concerned, it's aight so far. She's given us red flags, like we said the last episode. But yeah, what are we gonna do, guys? I don't know. Like, we're just gonna see what happens. We're gonna see. I don't know if things are not popping off by chapter 10. We might have to charge it. We might have to charge it because this is crazy. But as far as the look goes, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching us do our looks. I did do my full look with the In the Buff palette by Beats by Deb. I didn't end up using the other palette because I kind of went into a different direction than what I thought I was gonna do. Well, I kind of winged it, to be honest. Kind of winged it. But as always, you know, Maybelline foundation, Born This Way, Too Faced concealer. I use the Laura Mercier translucent powder. I use the Urban Decay setting spray, and I use Kiss New York's mattifying powder. This is a setting powder for under my my cheekbones. I also use the NARS soft matte perfecting powder, which is not a setting powder. It's kind of like a foundation powder, I would describe it as. What else? I have Spike Beauty lip liner with the liquid matte lipstick from Dose of Colors. This is in the shade Heartbreak. And the rhinestones are from Amazon. They're in my storefront. The glitter on my eyelid is a pot from Beats by Deb. It's this gold glitter. And the blush is from Crayon Case from the blush binder. I also used this brown shade right here as my bronzer because my usual bronzer broke. So I'm a little warmer than I usually am because that has like a little bit of a red tinge to it, but I don't hate it. I just don't think I would do it all year round. I don't know if this is my tea of shade, but yeah, the lashes are also from Spiked Beauty. This is in the Ravishing style, and eyebrows is also from the eyebrow pencil from Spike Beauty as well. If you guys have any questions about anything else, please hit my comment section. I will be happy to let you guys know anything you want to know. And please like, comment, and subscribe on me and Shay's channels. We really appreciate you guys making it to this part of the video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yep. See you later, Bran Flakes. What a nice cereal box.